appearing online as Commissioner Dueñas. Thank you for joining us. All right, Miguel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 3 items on the agenda, but item 2.2 is going to be tabled. We're working to get all of that buttoned up. If we can get it done by the meeting, it'll be
By
presented on Tuesday. So the 2 remaining resolutions that we'll go over today, the first is Resolution 03 FY 2026, and this is seeking your approval once again of an IDIQ contract for undersized waterline replacement design and CM services. You had previously provided approval for this contract with the highest ranked consultant, and we had an issue with the consultant and had to terminate the contract for convenience, and so this is the same contract with the second highest qualified respondent, and so we negotiated, and so I'll ask the AGM of engineering to go through the details.
Thank you, Brett.
Good morning, Commissioners. So as the GM explained, we have a contract pending your approval for undersized waterline replacement design. We currently have 2 waterline design IDIQ contracts in place, one specifically for general waterline replacement, one for ACP waterline replacement, and this is the one for undersized waterline replacement. The scope of work will include prioritizing and dividing into phases the replacement of the undersized water line, and then preparing the design packages so that we can bid them out. We anticipate multiple construction awards over the coming years to work toward the goal of getting all of the undersized water line in our system replaced. The total contract value that was negotiated was $2.7 million, but we anticipate starting off with an initial task order of $1.5 million, and this is US EPA grant funded.
Just like to point out, as the board is aware, we have been undertaking the water loss control program and district metered area program, and the data that is coming back from all of that proactive leak detection and repair indicates that the vast majority of problematic pipelines are these 2-inch galvanized pipes, the undersized water lines. So this contract is specifically to address those types of issues and help us reduce our water losses.
How many miles is this?
I don't think we have a complete listing of the miles yet. The initial tasking is for them to assess and prioritize the design packages, right?
The master plan lists a little over 30 miles of undersized water line, but our suspicion is that as we get into the design, we will find additional, and there will be more.
Based on the
Go ahead.
based on the district metering side, has there been a certain area that's been identified as like the top priority area that you need to work on?
I think we are prioritizing the Matagwak area as one.
Yeah, it says-
Matagwak is one of the
It
areas.
says here 18,300 linear feet. That's what it's reading in the.
That's the initial, I believe.
Gila, Dededo.
Yeah, it says Dedido, Barragata, Aston, Enron, Matagwak, and
Right, those are the areas we intend on doing under
Initial.
phase 1.
yeah, okay.
Matagwak's what, 3 miles here? That's a big one.
Just Miguel and Teresa on the, we didn't get any pushback from Brown and Caldwell, right? On the termination of their existing contract. Okay, that's fine, that's good. I just wanted to make sure that, it's an unfortunate situation, but they've been working for us for a long time.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you chose a different side.
So, and the commission is aware of where that is.
Oh, yeah.
And this is one of the contracts where we have the flexibility to do this. Unfortunately, we don't have that flexibility in every contract, especially the ones that are for the partial consent decree, which is the second item on the agenda. So we'll get to that.
It is what it is. I mean, it's unfortunate.
You couldn't reach terms
Commissioners.
with B and C, or you weren't comfortable with?
They they were a party to the litigation against us and
Right.
didn't disclose it, and they were clearly conflicted, and, here we can say, well,
Yeah, you're
It's
conflicted.
too bad. It's, we've had a long history with them, and it's, nice that they're nice guys. All right.
they
it
do
is what
good
it is.
work, but, I don't
hey,
understand the
I get it,
position
you
here.
know. Choose which side of the bread you want to butter, man. You can't do both sides. So, it is what it is. Okay, I'm good. Yeah, let's go. Any other questions, colleagues? Okay, next one, Gil.
The second resolution is 05 FY 2026, and this is seeking approval of an amendment to an existing IDIQ contract specifically for island-wide sewer collection
This is Brown
transmission
Column.
system repair, rehab, and replacement in support of the partial consent decree. And this work is critical, the timelines are critical. We don't have the flexibility here to adjust on this particular contract. And so we're moving forward with what we need to get done in order to meet the timing of the consent decree. And I'll ask that AGM to go through the details on this as well.
All right, for this resolution, we're planning on adding the funding necessary, approximately $2.8 million to the IDIQ contract so that we can issue a task order number 3 that's going to include 6 sites for design of sewer line repairs, including Agate, Chalampago, Agana, Manilao, PD, and the Serenu Avenue and Tamuning area. These are all areas that have been identified as needing rehabilitation under the partial consent decree, and so we need to get the design work started on these sites so that we can get the packages together and get the construction contracts bid out to meet the timelines.
Colleagues, any question? Gil, who's the resident manager now?
For Brown Column. So John Regal is the primary
Guy on the ground?
guy on the ground here. Joe Claveria also, who tends to handle more of these design projects. John Regal was pushing our master plan update, right? So, but John is the senior person in the office for Brown and Column.
The principals from Honolulu, for example, Ray's gone, right? Ray Metaxas?
Ray Matashi's gone.
Yeah.
His, I guess, replacement or his equivalent now, I think, is based on the West Coast, not in Honolulu.
Not in Honolulu.
Yeah,
Did he
that's my
retire?
understanding.
You know if he retired?
Ray retired.
Ah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And West Coast is?
I want to say California. I think he's been out once to visit. He may have met with the engineering staff. I wasn't around, or
Yeah.
our schedules didn't line up when he was here.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, for most of us here, we meet Ray because he always requests to meet when he arrives here.
Yeah.
Yeah, good guy. Okay. Any other questions, colleagues?
Nope.
Okay.
Straightforward.
And then, of course, the other resolution you'll bring back to us. Colleagues, what I wanted to do with Miguel and the team here was just kind of update us where we're at on the Eldrin issue, and we can quickly adjourn this meeting and let's go straight into our performance evaluations, because he has a hard stop for today, Commissioner Taco. So go ahead, Gil.
Okay. So just as a quick update, the board would have seen, or the commission would have seen the release and the announcement from Guam EPA that they have lifted the Do Not Drink Without Treatment advisory. This is in line with our request that was submitted after we received the results of the 4 consecutive weeks of sampling showing non-detect in the water entering the distribution system, demonstrating that the interim treatment solution that we provided is effective, and Guam EPA and US EPA have confidence that the water is safe to drink for all uses now, and so that advisory has been lifted. Essentially, we're continuing to operate and moving forward with our construction of the permanent solution. We did have previously announced that the contractual deadline for completion of the Y15 site and all the other treatment systems was in the summer of 2026. The engineering team has been working extremely hard to advance that and has had some successes. So we now have identified the permanent equipment that can be used for the permanent solution. That should be available to us before the end of the calendar year, and so we're trying to accelerate completion. I don't have a detailed update on the schedule, but we should very likely beat the summer 2026 deadline for a permanent installation at Y15. The other sites remain offline, and we continue to make operational adjustments to make sure that we can serve all areas and without adverse impact to our reservoir levels and service to other customers. We have had some issues over the past couple of days with wells going offline, so we're having a little bit of difficulty maintaining reservoir levels in the north, but we're working through that, and we're confident we'll be able to push through and keep the status quo in terms of operations until we can get the permanent treatment systems in place at all locations.
Okay.
Any specifics you want to add?
Commissioner Sanchez? You
Yeah.
look like you have a
No,
question.
just quick, this is also, I think, what the team has done to deal with the challenge as quickly as it did with the interim solution, which I thought was an excellent decision to figure out a way in the meantime while we were already working on the long-term solution, right? And this is all part of dealing with emerging contaminants, PFAS, and now dieldrin, and the solution is pretty much the standard, use the GACs. And you were able to put an interim solution together very quickly, and while we're also working on the permanent, and now you're advising that you're trying to move that up as best you can. I think it's an opportunity for us to also think back about what we could have done better. You know, lessons learned when something like this emerges. How might we have handled it differently, perhaps done it better? What can we improve, right? You know, from one point of view, we've done a great job. From another point of view, I mean, you took the fall in front of the mayors, you know, about, we failed. But my impression of that was we failed in communicating. Maybe we could have communicated better. I think technically and tactically, you did everything the team did everything humanly possible. You got GACs in there as quick as you could. Dieldrin's been around a long, long time. I Googled Hawaii. There's traces in Hawaii's water that's been there a long, long time. And in many ways, there's sort of, I won't call it a myth, but you establish this level through a process, which took time to establish, and there was no level at the federal. We had to create the local level, right? And we go through this process. But it's an opportunity for us to kind of say, all right, having done what we've done, having gone through what we've gone through, Miguel, you and your team get together and say, kind of, let's learn from this, and what else we could have done better, had we, I mean, hindsight's 20/20. But because it's 20/20, we can perhaps take advantage of lessons learned and just start thinking about, on a going forward basis, how to manage these things in the future. Is there things we can do better, and to give confidence to our community that their water is safe to drink and that we're doing everything possible. I think there is a myth out there that all the water in the world has nothing in it, but all the water in the world has many things in it. And if they're below a certain level, that's okay, but that doesn't mean there's not something in your water, right? And so that's something even, I don't expect Miguel or the team to educate the entire island of Guam, civilized world, about water and the fact that it's not absolutely pure. It comes from rain, it comes from aquifers, it comes from mountains, but there's a process to deal with it. We've gone through a learning curve in how to deal with it. More importantly, we did the tactical changes necessary for you to be able to say today, that Guam EPA has lifted the notice, and to that, I think the team needs to be applauded. So, but in reflecting on all of it, I just started thinking, maybe let's think a little bit about lessons learned and how we might be able to deal with this. God forbid if it happens in the future, but you never know. And what else, what we might have done differently. But I think technically, you've done as good a job as can be expected. Once we knew something was going on, we were already working on the permanent solution. In fact, you were the one that initiated the beginnings of the permanent solution when you first joined us, right? So all of that was good, and now that we've gone through it, and our water is now safe to drink up there, what can we learn from that experience? And that's just something I throw out to you and your team to reflect on that and think about that, and maybe change procedures that we might use in the future to let's learn from it, right? It's an opportunity to learn from it.
Michael?
I want Miguel to respond. You know, it looks like you're ready to say something.
So I just wanted to confirm, yes, when I was in front of the mayors, the message I gave them was we could have done a better job with the communications part. In terms of the solutions, we did everything we could have done. Nothing could have moved any faster, except if the mandatory reviews in all the procurements had gone faster, and they didn't go as quickly as we would have liked, and so that had an impact on our ability to deliver the permanent solution. But from the time that this became an issue and Guam EPA indicated that it was thinking about regulating, we didn't wait for the regulations to come out. We started immediately with initiating the design actions for a permanent solution. And so I think the commissioners are correct, and the team is to be commended, the operations team, the compliance and safety team, and the engineering team are to be commended for the action that was taken to get all these solutions in place. With regard to Commissioner Sanchez's comments about what's in the water and, you know, the fallacy that there's nothing in the water, this is clearly communicated in very plain language in our annual consumer confidence report. That very exact same thing is in there, and it explains, you know, the benefits of the tap water and, you know, certain minerals that are in the water, but then also explains that there are other things in the water, and just because it's there doesn't necessarily mean it's harmful. And that is very well detailed and explains part of the reason why that thing is so long, and maybe why also apparently nobody has taken the time to read it. But it's there, we produce it in accordance with the federal regulations, and that is the method that all utilities are required to communicate the quality of their water with their customers, and we've complied with that. And so I think we will continue to look at ways to improve that, ways to make it more digestible, and there will be other contaminants that come up because the EPA has a program of unregulated contaminant monitoring. We participate in that. We have participated that in every time they've had one. There's one coming up in another couple of years where they cast a wide net on compounds they think might be in the nation's drinking water, and they ask us to sample, and we sample, and we give them the results, and from that, that's where new regulations come from. And so we will continue to do that and cooperate with US EPA and Guam EPA in evaluating the island's water system along with everybody else in the nation. And with the microsite that we started, we will continue to update that to improve our communications to the public about water safety for GWA.
And maybe
Michael,
what?
Michael,
Yeah, so-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I agree with Commissioner Sanchez. You guys did an excellent job. It seemed as though you moved with such speed in correcting a temporary solution to address it. That was extremely fast. My only question is, was that just not an option prior to it being somewhat of an emergency? Because it seemed you had the equipment, you had the knowledge, and you executed that very fast. So what prevented us from
We
putting
didn't have
that
the
in
contract in place. We needed to have the contract in place to get the contractor to do it. And we didn't have that in place. That was part of the process that we started. So the first hurdle was the design, and then the second one was getting a contractor in place to do it. So
What can we do in the future in terms of like an IDIQ type of contract, a new procurement, to address things like this in the future?
So I think that IDIQs for design, we have that worked out. We don't have anything similar on the construction side that would allow us to execute projects quickly that are beyond the capabilities of our in-house. So the commission will recall that we've been trying for several years to form construction, kind of an in-house construction
Team.
Capability to do, you know, these
Stuff
simple
like
water line replacements, manhole repairs, you know, that typically a contractor would do for us as part of a larger project. So we've been trying to do that. We have been stymied in those efforts by a couple things, not the least of which is the PUC's consultants' limitation on our, you know, they're saying we're too big already and we don't need any more people. They've said that we don't need to do any more work on production wells. And they actually, you know, wanted to pull some of that out of our capital improvement program because they say that we produce too much water. Well, yes, we do produce too much water. We know we have water losses, but that doesn't mean the production wells don't need work. And so, you know, these types of capabilities will allow us to be a little more flexible. So in the future, if we could get that, you know, the construction arm started and that capability within the utility, I think that would go a long way to helping us. For certain things, we will still need contractor assistance, and so having a flexible, kind of like an IDIQ or a task order-based construction contract mechanism in place for us to, you know, first, you know, and we can define it to be for specifically for certain aspects of the system operations, maybe one contract for pipelines and another one for production facilities or renovations, that kind of thing. You know, that would give us some additional flexibility. We don't have that right now, but it's something that we can look at moving forward.
Okay, so
Would
yeah,
that mean a law change or a
no, just a
CCU?
procurement.
I don't think it would require a law change.
Just CCU regulate, or CCU permission?
And the
Yeah,
funding
this-
to do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess on my side, from the CCU side, do you have enough CCU, you're up to $1 million now. Would that be enough for you to finance a project like this? Or at least
We
to
would
start?
we would still bring it before you for the procurement
Yeah,
part of it. But in
okay.
terms of where that money would come from.
It's a different issue.
I think it would be
Yeah.
IFCIP, which, you know, we have a kind of a
Internal
pot
funded, okay.
that we use to augment the bond funding and the grant funding.
Yeah.
And that is a little more flexible for us to use. And so if we have an estimated task order amount for a given year, we can set part of that IFCIP funds aside
Okay.
for that, and then use it as we need it. And if we don't use it, we carry it
Yeah,
over.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need to do that for these emerging contaminants type of thing, but for the interim solution you have in place, is there any way to make that system portable? Like, you know, can you build that system out of a container to place it in problem wells, right? Or is that just too expensive?
No,
to
no,
do?
I think we looked at that initially for A23 and A25. The problem is that they do make portable systems. The problem is that those ones are not designed for potable water. They're designed for hazardous waste remediation and treatment, temporary location at a facility. You run a pump and treat system for several months, and then you move it to someplace else. So you can, the technology exists to do it, but the companies that do it have not done any, to my knowledge, for potable water systems. So there's a little bit of nuance. There's fixed capacity, and depending on the level of contamination, how many vessels you would need. So you might have to have multiple trailers if it's really bad, right? So those are things that we could look at, but I agree, if we had that type of equipment on hand, just like, you know, additional tankers, we would have that in our inventory of equipment. That would be very helpful.
And just deploy it,
When we need it.
connect them, and they're ready to roll, right?
Right.
So I think we need to look at that, just for, because as these new emerging contaminants come up, I think we're gonna wanna be able to act as quickly as you did, and with this different equipment, you might even be able to address it even faster, right? So let's take a look at that.
Yes,
one.
sorry, go ahead.
So Miguel, on the testing side, we'll continue to monitor the other wells
Yes,
on a regular basis, or?
yes,
do we
monthly.
Okay, so it's on the regular standard testing that we?
Well, this is beyond standard. We increased it to monthly because of this issue. So we will continue to keep it monthly until we get those permanent systems in place. And then we'll have a conversation with Guam EPA about going back to the quarterly sampling.
Okay. Mike?
One last thing, so regarding the well that we took offline, if you're able to expedite the permanent solution, is the plan to move that temporary solution over to that well? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Simon?
And just the other thing that occurred to me is, you know, we have the opportunity to talk to 40,000 ratepayers every month when we send the bill. GPA talks to 50,000. And GPA makes an effort. You can see when you open your bill, there's sort of a public outreach, public education, and that maybe, you know, I'll get with you, Miguel, since part of that, head of that subcommittee and your team, to talk about, you know, how to educate people more, tell them more about their water system. Because like you said, you've been reporting this on a regular basis, you know, forever. It's required, right? But it's buried in a really long report that nobody reads, and yet until, pardon my French, until the you-know-what hits the fan, and then everybody freaks out, right? And maybe we can use the billing as an opportunity to create an outreach and an education about not just water, but how their wastewater system works, just kind of how their system, it's their system, right? How does it work, what we're doing to deal with it. If already we're talking about lessons learned, right? Portable systems and all that. And then maybe we can sit with your team and think about taking advantage of the fact that we talk to our ratepayers every month and creating public outreach, not just for this particular issue, but it's sort of a good issue to cut our teeth on, right? And think about, educating our people about how they get water into their house that's safe to drink, how we take away water from their house and process it for those that are tied to our wastewater system, how we take water, how people that process their own wastewater, how that works, and people confuse surface water runoff with sewer runoff, right? Because public, we don't have our public road system doesn't have the water drainage we hope it would have, but people think it's sewage, right? And that it's not, right? So I'm thinking that, again, another opportunity for us to learn from this, maybe sit down with our sister company. They try to communicate regularly. They do communicate regularly. Every time you open that bill, the thinnest thing in the bill is your bill. Everything else is the handout, right? And yet it's informing. It's so I'll volunteer to get with your team
Okay.
and your outreach team, and let's think about taking advantage of the fact that we can talk to 40,000 ratepayers every month. And what would we want to say to them? What would we want them to know? And this might be, I think everything you're explaining about this crisis is maybe the first thing we talk about. And you've got Cause and that company, they're very good about outreach. So, maybe let's start to put together a plan that we talk to our ratepayers every month and talk to them about their system and what we're doing to make it better, what we're doing when there's a crisis, and just kind of let them know what it works, because I'm with you. You issue that report and it's in there, but it's a big report, because it's required to be a big report. But how do we pull out of there the things that Maria is more interested in, and explain those things to them as best we can, and just keep talking to them about their system that you and your team manage for them, right? And duplicate it. It may not have to be every month. I mean, GPA is good. They create something every month, and frankly, you're as busy as GPA, so there's plenty of things to talk about, but maybe it's time for us to improve that outreach and take advantage of the fact that we have a mechanism.
Okay.
Yeah, can you give us some new numbers on the number of residents that are taking or not taking advantage of the POEs and the POUs? Just update us, telling you don't have to do it right now. And then also telling on the financial side, Commissioner Talco pointed out that our friends at GWA are I'm looking at the report, it doesn't say $1 million, but it could be $1 million. Just update them and remind Swanson that on his way out, give us a check. Okay, because I don't want my new speaker friend to be saddled with debt that's not hers. Okay.
I have the numbers quickly.
Sure, yeah, okay, especially in the POEs. I'm just curious.
As of yesterday, we had 276 applications. My understanding is we've mailed out applications to all of the folks in the.
Again, right, good, that's good.
And we had 32 applications for reimbursement. 5 have been paid, and I think another 5 are in the process of being paid.
Where are we, Miguel, on the purchase order agreement? Are we almost close to finalizing that?
I think we are.
Okay.
I need to get with Chris, and I'll
good.
update the commission.
Okay, so, if my recollection is right, Miguel, you are gonna continue to offer this and to such time that the permanent solution is in, right?
That's
The
correct.
POE is POU.
That's correct.
Okay, so let's just continue to be proactive, like Simon is saying, send out the message, and for the life of me, why they don't wanna take advantage of this is beyond me, but again, at least we wanna be more proactive, saying that here it is, it's available for you if you want it, and, yeah, and then just move on, so, okay. Any other feedback from the mayor, or now that, pretty much it's stopped?
You've been pretty positive.
Yeah, okay. All right. Anything else? And then we'll just see you on Tuesday on the other stuff. But, so colleagues, we're gonna adjourn this meeting and then go ahead and come back and convene and start on the performance evaluations for our GWA side, including our board secretary. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you,
This
GWA.
conference is no longer being recorded.
Did you see
Thanks,
the
Brett.
piece of paper? I'm gonna put all of our sound.
CCU, today's date is November 18, and sorry, my time is 9:22. I'll call this meeting to order. We have Commissioner Mchako, Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Martinez, Commissioner Santos. We are trying to contact Commissioner Dueñas if he's going to appear online. This meeting is now called to order. I will need a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
All right, so moved. All right, we are now going into executive session. 2-minute recess. He actually gave me everything that we did today.
Okay, sir, he's back on.
Okay, we are live back. We have just, got out of executive session. I need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn the regular session. Mr. Chair.
Second by Commissioner Martinez. This meeting is now adjourned for the work session of GWA. Thank you, colleagues. I'm sorry, the special meeting of the performance evaluations for the, what do you call that?
For the employees.
Employees.
Senior management.
Yeah,
Is
senior
adjourned.
manager under CCU.
Is adjourned. Yeah.
Is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
give me a few minutes.